there was unfortunately another story that, kind of made headlines over the weekend that was had nothing to do with what happened on television. And this whole Ridge Holland situation
Right.
and people kind of misinterpreting things or however they looked at it. So we know the GoFundMe was set up, and I had questions about it immediately because we were live on the air when we were talking about this, right?
Yeah,
About
we were talking about the
okay,
veracity of it, but also that Sean had been tweeting who's donating to it, and that kind of adds to the veracity of its existence and that it is
yeah.
a legitimate GoFundMe. Go ahead. Well, you can set this up.
So yeah, I don't trust the GoFundMe's unless it like comes directly from the person. But then Ridge retweeted it and Ridge commented on it in an interview, I think with TMZ. So like he was aware of it by later in the day once it got more traction and everything. And then he put out a statement basically saying like it was done. We had conversations, but it was kind of done without my approval. Turns out it was his mom who set it all up. And then he said, we're gonna shut it down, and once I'm able to recoup the funds, which effectively means like he's gonna keep the funds for their intended donations, and then once he's able to work again, he will give the funds to charity. So I don't know what the GoFundMe was at, but let's say it was $5,000. He's gonna effectively keep that 5,000 for its intended donation use, and then a year from now, hopefully less than that, when he's made 5,000 back in appearances or whatever it might be, then he's going to donate that money to charity. People took it a weird way. They thought that he was going to immediately just donate the funds to charity. And so they wondered, well, why aren't you just refunding everything? He had to kind of clarify with it. And he said he took down the GoFundMe because of the backlash with everything. This whole situation just sucks. And it's
Yeah.
just so stupid. He shouldn't be in this position for it to be set up in the first place. And I'm not saying that's WWE's fault. I'm not saying that's his fault. I don't know his financial situation. I don't know anything that came of that. It just sucks that he's in the position here as it is, given how long he was in WWE and how much you would hope he would have saved and earned during that time. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of things. The GoFundMe stuff, like maybe it wasn't set up like with your approval or whatever, but if you retweet it and you talk about it and you're like, "Oh, I'm so overwhelmed and just thank you for the support." You know it exists. And then to shut it down like after there's more backlash about it, like just keep it up. People want to help you. He's willing to accept their help to an extent because he's going to keep it for the intended use, but then down the line he's going to donate it back to charity. So he's accepting it to an extent, at least for the time being. I guess it is nice that he's kind of willing to pay it forward with the charity of everything. It's a messy situation where it's just unfortunate that he's in this position at all. I don't think he has fully handled things as well as he could have, but I also understand that his life got flipped around kind of rather quickly, and he was sadly not super prepared for it. And I think maybe he could have been because signs were probably there. He mentioned that they offered him a 3-year deal at 50%. This is the part people keep leaving out about the 3-year deal. This was not the contract here that he like turned, or that it wasn't going to be renewed. This was his previous contract. He was offered a 3-year deal at 50% less than what he was making, he said. That's the part people just want to leave out. But he wanted to do a 1-year deal because he didn't want to be locked into 3 years at 50% left, which is completely understandable. Honestly, it is. But if you know you're signing a 1-year deal and you know they were trying to give you 3 years at 50% less, they probably don't value you that much. And at that point, on that 1 year, you gotta start preparing for that, knowing that that 1 year might be the end of things for you. And I don't know what his preparation was. I don't know his full financial situation. I'm not going to speculate on it. It does seem like it could have been better handled by a lot of sides.
Yeah. On top of it, there was, I know that Jinder Mahal, I kind of tweeted out that WWE offers kind of a fiscal responsibilities course. And that was kind of his take on everything. It's because going back to what you were saying, it's he took 1 year at 50% instead of taking 3 year and getting locked in. And at that point, like you said, you need to know your value, or at least have an idea that you're probably not sticking around beyond that 1 year if the original deal was like maybe, I don't know if he's a glass half full type of person, and maybe his idea was, I'll do 1 year at this and I'll prove to them that I'm undeniable and I deserve more, and then maybe that was motivation for him. I don't know. That's up for Luke, former Rich Holland, to talk about. But at the end of the day, if you're still going in with a 1 year deal at 50% of what you made, you do need a plan financially for what you're going to do in case, oh shit, this doesn't, and you're gone, which is what he's faced with, and he said it as early as on Busted Open this morning, thanks to WrestleVotes, that he's going to have neck fusion surgery. WWE is paying for it, but he's going to keep him out of action until May. So that is another side of the reality of being injured as a performer. When you can't work, you get backed into a corner mentally as well, because the one thing that you are doing is trying to make money, doing the thing that you love and doing the thing that you are tasked to do, and you can't make money on that. You can't survive without that opportunity. You can, hopefully, if he can travel, because again, it's still major surgery and major recoup, if you can do conventions, appearances, things like that, and make some money, that's great. But you can't wrestle on it, and maybe you can't travel. So it's an unknown time for him. He said he's got 5 kids. Obviously, he has a mortgage in the house. Don't know what his partner does in her everyday life for work. For all we know, she's a homemaker. Maybe she stay at home. I don't know. But the point is, that is one income that has been effectively cut off. It's great and also legally binding that WWE cover the surgery and the expenses with rehab. Again, the very least of what they could do. But there's nothing on top of that. So for a GoFundMe to be set up, whether or not he knew about it, he still promoted it. And maybe he had misconceptions of what that is supposed to be in terms of how the finances work with a GoFundMe. I don't know. I don't know if he's ever donated to anyone else's GoFundMe. I don't. But he's in a position right now that is unenviable for most people. And I couldn't imagine being in his shoes and feeling anything less than scared and frustrated and depressed. And I hope that he has a support system that helps him make his way out of this, because it sucks. It's scary. So I hope people lay off of him. I hope people realize that there are times in your lives that you may be faced with a similar situation, whether that's financially or just work related. And I hope people support you. And I hope people don't sit around and just ask, oh, why can't he do this? Why can't he do that? Because sometimes this and that isn't available. So again, wish the best to him, because by all accounts, very nice individual. By all accounts, very talented. Everyone I've spoken to about him has spoken highly about him as a wrestler. And I know that there have been, I think a lot of the attacks come from people who are just upset about Big E and the incident that happened there, despite the fact that both of them have talked, both of them are over it, both of them have no ill will against the other about what happened. People still hold on to that, which really sucks. And I hope people start to realize the parties involved have moved on and have found their own versions of success and their own reasons to keep going. I hope those people do it too, and realize that Luke, the former Rich Holland, is just as much a human as anyone else in this story.
Yeah. Look, he seems like a nice guy by all accounts. Every interview he gives, like, he He seems like he's reasonable and decent on this. People hold the Big E stuff against him. Like Big E doesn't hold that against him. If he's moved on, you all should move on. It happened. It was very unfortunate. Big E has moved on. Everyone else needs to move on off of that. I think it sucks he's in this position. I can't imagine being in this position. I don't wish him, anybody, to be in this position. It's difficult. And I mean, just have some understanding when it comes to this stuff. I mean, I say I've been in this position. I got fired from my job, and then I had no income, and my partner at the time was on disability, so she didn't have any income outside of like a couple $100 a month, and we had to figure out what the hell we were gonna do. Sadly, I just did a bunch of wrestling writing, and look at me now. But it's a tough position to be in when you are in a household with, you're the person with the income coming in. I don't know if his wife is bringing in any income. I don't. But if he was the only person bringing in income, even if you're not, even if you're a 2-income household and then you get down to a 1-income household, like, it's still a very difficult spot to be in. And yeah, I've been there where I was fired, where I didn't think I was going to get fired, and it happened very unceremoniously and very out of the blue. And it's like, oh shit, well, now I got to figure out my life after this. And, you know, fortunately, I was able to figure things out, but it doesn't make it any less difficult, especially when it's very fresh. And this is very fresh. You know, like, we gotta give some grace when it comes to this stuff. I mean, he admitted that he didn't like how we handled certain things, but you also got to give grace on the way he handled these things, because I can imagine his frustration with this.
Get rid of Disney Plus first.
Yeah, it'd be cutting out all these streaming services, you know. Like,
he's got a free Netflix. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. But my point is, people in chat saying downscaling is hard when you have a lifestyle that you're accustomed to, and suddenly things change. And again, 5 kids, a partner, you got to in a house. It's tough, man. I hope none of y'all ever have to deal with that scenario, because it's a real scary situation to be faced with. No one should have to worry about a roof over their head, especially just in general. No one should have to deal with that. There's plenty more over on Fightful Overbooked. Click that subscribe button, tap that bell, get your notifications. And while you're at it, like the videos, interact with them, say some stuff. We want to hear from you. While you're at it, join us every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live for In the Weeds. You might like it.